what's up? This is Trey. Thank you all for tuning in to my channel on today. So I just want to jump into this story. Someone has sent me a link to a story of a young man who they said committed suicide. He was found hung outside of City Hall, dangling from a tree with a noose around his neck. Now, the police and the investigators and the people who are going to perform the autopsy on him said that it was no signs of foul play, it wasn't a struggle involved, and there was no indication that he was like trying to fight for his life, meaning that if the noose is around his neck. Now, if a person put a noose around your neck, hang you from a tree, and you still got life in you, what you gonna do? You gonna fight for your life. So it would have meant that he would have been pulling at the noose. So I'm pretty sure he probably would have been scratching his neck. But they said that it was no scratches on him, no indication that this was a murder, but rather than a suicide. Now, I know that we live on one world, but when stories like this happen, the world splits in two. And the reason why I say that is because then it's the Caucasian people's opinion, and then it's the black people's opinion. Caucasian people, majority, would say something like this. Now, I'm not making this video about race or making it racist, but I want you guys to really understand where I'm coming from. Now, majority of Caucasian people would say they'll believe what the news said. It was just a suicide. But the black world, we're like instant flashback. We think of cotton fields. We start thinking of black people being hung from trees, being lynched, being burned, being set on fire, dogs biting black people while they up in the tree hung from a noose. And we instantly say foul play. No suicide. This was a murder and it was foul play, and we looking for justice. Now, when it comes to crimes, you can be inside of your kitchen washing dishes and the news happen to be playing and you hear teen shoots up a school and you don't even have to be in there to see the photo on a TV and you'd be like, oh, that's a white person. Or a liquor store had got robbed. Teens steal money out of the cash register and joyride down the street. Black. You understand? So when you hear certain stories, you automatically know what race did this. So this guy hanging from a tree, that don't sound like something a black person would do and commit suicide in front of City Hall. Normally when black people commit suicide, it's normally done in their home, behind closed doors. But whoever did this to him in front of City Hall, they was trying to make a statement. They was trying to make a statement. We're rioting. George Floyd, we just buried him. Somebody was trying to make a statement. I don't believe this young man hung himself from that tree. Because how did he get up there? Think about that. How did he get up there? He had to have some type of help. And when they said that there was no struggle from the noose, think about this. If he was already dead when they hung him, it wouldn't be a struggle. Or you wouldn't see no scratch marks on his neck if he was already dead. They could have already killed him and then hung him to make it look like a suicide. There's just certain crimes that black people don't do. Now, pulling a trigger, blowing your brains out, possible they could do that. Black people do that type of stuff to themselves. But hanging themselves from a tree, that ain't something that we would do. Now, if they find out that he really did do this to himself, then let me apologize now. My bad, I'm sorry. But it don't seem like or sound like something that a black person would do. I personally believe It's foul play. I think someone hung him from that tree. And I hope that they get justice for this young man. I really do. Normally, and I would advise the family to recount the last couple of hours or days of his death. Was he sad? Was he going into a depression? Was he mad? Was he angry about something? Or was he happy? Who was he hanging around? Check his Facebook. Check his texts in his phone. Sometimes you have to solve crimes for yourself because of the times we live in. The cops don't give you all the answers that you were looking for. They don't always give you the help that you need. Sometimes you got to start thinking for yourself and pulling your own investigation to find out what happened to your loved one. But in my opinion, I do not believe this was a suicide. I believe it was foul play involved in this young man's story. Now, his family does have a GoFundMe set up for him. So those who are willing and want to participate, you can go research it to donate to help pay for this young man's funeral. I always find that it's weird. A lot of activities always happen around 12 and 4 o'clock. A lot of evil activity. This young man was found around 4 o'clock in the morning. Some bypassers was walking past City Hall and saw him hanging. See, when the daytime is here, the world is up and alive and lit. So people don't really have thoughts of suicide during the daytime. It's always when the sun sets and the world goes to sleep. It's when it's almost like your mind wakes up and you be in the bed and you can't sleep and you be up thinking and you be start having those thoughts. You ever woke up from a scary dream or just woke up and you look at the clock and it's always 3 o'clock? Y'all remember that songwriter, the artist Selena, who she wrote that song that said, "Late at night when all the world is sleeping, I stay up and I think of you." At nighttime is when people's mind begin to start wondering and start thinking. Start going into those dark areas. It's when they start dealing with those demons, dealing with themselves, thinking about their past and the people who hurt them. Now, to the people who killed this guy, that's probably how they got there. Start thinking dark. Let's go find a black boy. Let's go kill him. Let's go hang him. Or if he hung himself, he was thinking something dark that had him out there at 4 in the morning. Y'all, we live in a real world. And I personally believe there is a lot of demonic activity that be going on. Kids be getting kidnapped after dark. People be getting robbed, shot, killed after dark. Now, I'm not trying to scare y'all and tell y'all to stay inside and things like that. But I'm just trying to let you know there's a real world out there. And I believe parents, when it start getting dark, like I grew up in the 80s, we all knew when the street lights came on, you was in the house. Parents, when it starts getting to become a certain time, you need to start calling your kids on the phone and be like, you need to check in. Where are you? Who you hanging with? What time are you coming home? I'm serious. Because sometimes the last time people seen their kid was like in the morning. And by night, they dead. Check in with your kids. Find out where they are. This ain't petty. This is real life. This is so crazy that even after this video, somebody's going to get a phone call tonight saying that I found your child's body laying lifeless somewhere in a ditch, in water. This is how real it is. Parents, if you are paying the bill on your child's cell phone, you better let them know it's already understood that when you see mom come up on that screen, dad come up on that screen, you better answer. To this young man that lost his life, I don't know if it was a murder or suicide, but if it was murder, I pray that you get justice. Y'all, death always bothered me. Because it ain't no coming back from death. When death comes, your story ends. Like your chapter is over. The book is closed. The end. Know where your children are at all times. Because I personally do not want to make a video on any of my subscribers or people who just pass by my channel. I don't want to make a video on none of your kids or none of your relatives explaining to the world how they passed away. I'm Trey, y'all. I'm out.